Hi, yes, Jackie here with the LGFA and a palpable sense of excitement as we look ahead to the 2021 currentAccount.ie All-Ireland Senior Ladies Club Final. And it's on Saturday at St Brendan's Park in Birr. It's 1 o'clock. It's live on TG Car and it's on other media as well. And I'm delighted to be joined in that vein by Mr. Stephen Glennon, editor of the Tuam Herald newspaper, former Galway ladies football team manager as well, and bought above my screen as I look is renowned local freelance journalist and Red FM presenter Mr. Ger McCarthy. So it's Galway versus Cork in this All-Ireland final. Lads, how are we?
Good, Jackie, now.
Really good.
Good to have you back on because you were with us not so long ago looking ahead to the semi-finals. Ger, I'll start with your good self. So as you like to say on your social posts, it has dropped. So tell us what we can look forward to on the podcast. I would imagine there's a heavy emphasis on the game coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, it's the kids that come up with that drop term. I don't know what it means either, Jackie. Sorry,
Cool
I'm just
kids.
trying to be cool.
Cooler than us anyway, Ger.
In my middle age, which I'm failing very badly. Basically, this week's Red FM Women in Sport podcast is highlighted, and rightly so, by an interview I did with 3 members of the Mourneabbey team that are taking part on Saturday, and that's the captain, Breed O'Sullivan, the goal-scoring sensation this year, Laura Fitzgerald, and Maura O'Callaghan, a bit of an unsung hero on the team this year. I got a chance to talk to them earlier in the week. And on the podcast there, one of the things I think you take from that conversation is how, I won't say relaxed, but how settled they are. Obviously, they expect a bit of nerves on the day itself. Any All-Ireland final day will bring that, no matter how experienced you are, no matter how many finals you've played in, especially Mourneabbey. But they're in a good place. They don't have any injuries to report. It's been 2 good weeks since the Dunboyne performance, which was a fantastic performance. They are looking forward to the challenge. Each of the 3 players involved that I interviewed, without prompting, said that they expect the Kilkerrin Clonberne challenge to be the biggest of the year. I think that's being fair. And I think considering the manner in which Kilkerrin Clonberne beat Donaghmore in semi-final and it came through a tough game, they reckon that will stand to them in Birr on Saturday. And I think that's a fair point to make as well. But as far as Mourneabbey go right now, heading into this All-Ireland final, there's no talk of 3 in a row. They know it's there. They know people will be mentioning it in the media, like myself, will keep quizzing them on it. But they're just laser focused on putting in a performance like they have done and incrementally improving, which they've also done since the Munster Championship started. They're in a good place. They're ready for the challenge, but they do expect this to be the toughest game, and as do I, their toughest challenge of the year.
I think Stephen Ger has teed it up pretty well there. So from the
as he usually does, Jackie.
So we'll count it at that anyway, lads. Thanks for coming on today. No, Stephen, from the Kilkerrin Clonberne viewpoint, obviously they won't be shouting and roaring about it from the rooftops, but I would imagine that 2 years ago and the manner of it and the last gasp point conceded that we spoke about previously will be a massive motivation going into this one.
Well, I was out there last Friday night. There's great excitement over the whole thing. The feel, maybe they left it behind them the last time. Feel they didn't play well, I suppose, more importantly. Maybe not left it behind them, but feel they didn't play well. Felt they had a little bit more in them. A lot of those players were still very young, but they have spoken about, I suppose they have spoken about that last 15 seconds when Laura Fitzgerald kicked the point. Like you hear somebody like Hannah Noon, who's just 20. She was 18 at the time, and she said she's been living with it for the last 2 years. Louise Ward said she hasn't been able to look back in the match yet. So even though they're playing Mourneabbey this weekend, she hasn't been able to look back in that game. That's kind of the level hurt that's there. But other than that, I think the big thing for them is that they're looking to improve. They know they hit a certain standard against Mourneabbey. And I put it to them just that, when you're playing a team like Mourneabbey, who are one of the best around, that you have to be able to do things at a high pressure. Like the mistakes you get away at county championship and a Connacht championship, you won't get away against the likes of Mourneabbey. So that's what they have to improve on. Can they play the type of football they want to play when they're coming under extreme pressure by the Mourneabbey players? And I think that's what they have to get right come Saturday. I believe they can. I think they were certainly in fine form last Friday night. Now, I know on a media night and a press night, there's a great atmosphere and there's a great carnival feel. And for the journalists, we love to see the old curtain buns come out of the scones and the nice cakes, which is always good. It gets us on the right side. So thanks to Linda and Donna and all down there for organising. But yeah, there was a great feel about them, and they're buzzing for this one. It was great. It was even great to see the 5 mothers in the squad getting their picture taken together. You know, like that's the sense of community you get down there. And I just make one final point. There's very few, and I've said this in the paper. There's very few places you drive into where you have your ladies football team picture up on a big placard on the wall. It's great to see. Great for ladies. They're great ambassadors, great role models, and it's great that their own community have that deep respect for them. So hopefully they bring all that community spirit, all that enthusiasm, all that passion to Birr on Saturday.
Yeah, it's the profile seems to be increasing all the time, Stephen. But it's you know, in no small part to the work that the likes of yourself and Ger put in at local level. I think it's massively important, and we certainly appreciate it. You're going yourself on Saturday, and Billy is covering it for the paper, and you're sending a snapper as well. So I mean, that just
yeah, well,
you know, it's coverage and it's important. But I think, have we evolved to a stage now, Stephen, where, you know, maybe in the past ladies football might not have been recognized as much as it is now, whereas now you cannot ignore it. It's kind of gone from one extreme to the other.
But it's such a good brand of football.
Absolutely.
It's great to watch. You know, even though there was maybe the Mourneabbey game was one-sided in the semi-final, like to watch a team rack up 6-17, like it's just the movement. To do that, it takes a certain kind of team and a certain special kind of team. Same way, there was a different semi-final for Kilkerrin Clonberne. They were coming up against the Donaghmine team, who I suppose have experienced 5-time All-Ireland winners, have the experience. We're meeting the likes of the Courtney girls, like unbelievable footballers, and that was a very different challenge. And there's another thing here: they got a monkey off their back with that win. They had played several semi-finals in Clonberne and had never won them, and that was at the back of their mind. Louise Ward said as well. They were a bit nervous coming down to play in their own home patch in front of their own supporters, and the thought of losing another semi-final there. So that they've got that off their back. So now can they get another one off their back? They have played Mourneabbey 3 times before and have never beaten them. Can they do it this Saturday?
We'll find out for sure. Ger, I suppose a couple of questions for you. Number one, in your opinion, is it better for Mourneabbey to have cruised against Dunboyne, or is it better for Kilkerrin Clonberne to have come through a real semi-final challenge against Donaghmine? And just secondly, in a totally separate question, I think back to 2019, I was down around the touchline and Nicola Ward in floods of tears after breaking down early with injury. Stephen, you'll remember it.
Yeah.
So they were without Nicola for most of the game. And of course, at the time, Mourneabbey had a certain Noelle Healy in their ranks. So you put a fully fit Louise Ward back into the Kilkerrin Clonberne team, and you take Noelle out of it. Are we moving towards a situation where it's becoming even? I know a 1-point game, God, how close can you get? But that the margins have narrowed in even more, Ger, do you think?
Well, to answer your first question, it's better for Kilkerrin Clonberne to have had a tight game coming into a final. Mourneabbey, and it's interesting, the 2 questions you've posed there, I addressed with Shane Ronayne for an interview that's to be published on Saturday morning in the Irish Examiner, and he said the same thing to me after the Dunboyne. He was delighted with the performance. It was a real 4 quarters performance. They pushed and shoved and they squeezed the life out of Dunboyne. A fantastic team, but won well. He did make the point, you know, Munster was tight at times, but they never got the real challenge they were expecting. And they beat Arlo, they beat Ballymacarby very comprehensively. And it was the Banner, I think, in the first one that really put it up to them. But other than that, they were dominant. And they were dominant against Dunboyne in 4 quarters, something Kilkerrin Clonberne will have to match. So I think it's better to come in having had a test and a tight game like they did, 8 points, and needing those kind of those goals to get over Donaghmine will do Kilkerrin Clonberne the world of good. The second question about, you know, the 2019 it's a long time ago. What I would say about Kilkerrin Clonberne having a fully fit team and Noelle Healy not being on Mourneabbey on paper certainly is a good thing for the Galway champions and the Connacht champions. But what's different about Mourneabbey this year, and what's different about them coming into this final as opposed to the 2 previous finals, there is no longer an over-reliance on a couple of players for scores. I know the scoreboard shows Laura Fitzgerald and Darren O'Sullivan have delivered, and Ciara O'Sullivan too, in recent championship matches. But why I think they're in a much better place, they being Mourneabbey, the panel is stronger. The younger players that have come on, Ellie Jack, Anna Ryan, players like that you may not have heard of, are settled into that first team. And they now have Mourneabbey that they didn't have maybe in recent years, 2 or 3 game changers to come off the bench. Now you add that to Niamh O'Sullivan in midfield having a fantastic season. Nobody talks about her. Maura O'Callaghan having a brilliant season. Breed O'Sullivan shutting down Vicky Wall the last day and the way she did. And that's no disrespect to Vicky Wall. She's a fantastic player. But Breed O'Sullivan negated her influence on that match, and Emer Meany negating Emma Duggan's influence in front of goal. Mourneabbey and Shane Ronayne have options. How it's all going to line up is going to be fascinating. I can't wait to see how they all line up. But and I've had a stab at it in another newspaper and probably failed miserably. But the key players for Mourneabbey are no longer Darren O'Sullivan, Ciara O'Sullivan, and not even Laura Fitzgerald. It's the supporting cast that is much stronger, and the winner will be decided on Saturday, not by the forwards, but by the opposing defences and who shuts down who. And you look at the number of scores, I think it's 118 in 3 games in their last 3 games. Having conceded 3-5 to the Banner, Mourneabbey went to work. And they've conceded 118 in 3 games. That's nearly 6 points a match, right? And 1 goal in 3 really tough championship matches. 2-8 will not be enough for Kilkerrin Clonberne to win the All-Ireland. I think 15, 16, maybe even 17 points might be needed on Saturday. It's going to be that tight. If they can't do that, then they're going to lose. They need goals, but you're coming up against the defence in turnovers, in defence, in organisation, and in multiple options to come off the bench to get their matchups right that are in a really healthy position. This is as strong. I put the question to Shane Ronayne and I'll finish now. Is this the strongest panel you've ever had? And he thought about it and he went, you know what? It actually might be. Out of all the teams, out of all those finals that they lost and the fantastic players that have been and gone, this is his strongest panel. No, that doesn't guarantee victory, but I've never seen Mourneabbey come into an All-Ireland final in a healthier position. So, like we said the last day about Dunboyne, we thought it was going to be tight, but we figured Dunboyne would bring their A game. Kilkerrin Clonberne's A game will not be enough. It's got to be their best game, not just of this championship, but of the last couple of years, and they know that. But this is a Mourneabbey team in rude health, with a panel and with game changers that can now make a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, you said I'll finish now, don't, because it's fascinating to listen to you. And I remember you before the semi-final, you were bullish about their chances. It appears that you're similarly bullish on this occasion. Stephen, we mentioned, okay, Kilkerrin Clonberne came through a battle. Mourneabbey probably cruised through their semi-final. At the same time, Mourneabbey are no strangers to being brought down the stretch. If it's into the last few minutes, they know how to win it as well. So it might be a little bit of a moot point in terms of winning semi-finals. And of course, Ger makes a legitimate point that when these two teams last met, it was 2 years ago. And from how we speak, and it does appear that Mourneabbey have moved on probably to another level. So I guess, Stephen, the question from me to you is, he talks about an A game won't be enough. It's going to have to be their best game they've had in God knows how long. Are they capable of producing it, Stephen?
Well, first of all, I think I'm going to look at the cinema listings for Saturday now, because there's no point travelling at all, Ger. And the kids will be very disappointed. I finally got them to agree to come to the game with me, and they're eager to do so.
At least get a Supermax on the way home or something.
Listen, I think they know that themselves. They haven't beaten them the 3 times they played previously.
2 semis as well, yeah.
Yeah, and I will say as well that, Clonberne is a fine pitch, fine facilities down there and everything. But even speaking to Michael Divilly down there tonight, he was saying if the pitch can be heavy this time of the year. I suppose Birr may be the same. I don't know. I've been in Birr and dry days. I don't know at this time of the year how it'll shape up. But I do think maybe the pitch could be a factor as well, because they love that quick ball pace. They love moving at a pace, and a heavy pitch can be like that. And let's say, like watching Monaghan even last year, they played, they're really organised in the way they set up defensively, the county team. So I imagine that kind of filters down to Donaghmine, who were probably been doing it anyway. So yeah, I think Ger is right. They will have to bring their best game. Everybody will have to be 100% on it, from Lisa Murphy on her kickouts, because no better team than Cork and Donaghmine to squeeze teams. They're really, really good at that. That's why they've been successful. So she has to make sure she's getting away her kickouts quick, getting away accurately, And then after that, then have they got the wherewithal to slip the ball, quick hands, move it out of defence, and then get their transition going from defence to attack and bring their speed into it. So that is hugely important. And as George said, they have to be on their game. After that, then around the middle of the field, like you're coming up against players who just, they're nearly machine-like. They're automatic in everything they do. And if you switch off for a second, and I know this from being with Galway when we played Cork and looked at them, if you switch off, if you hesitate for a moment in going for a ball or tracking a runner, you're done. Your goose is cooked. So once that ball is moved, if they have to decide they're tracking, no thinking about it, no saying, let's see how this will develop. They have to be switched on straight away to track. And I think the big thing, and Willie Ward, the manager, said this himself, the big thing for them is staying in the game. So, getting to half time, still in touching distance, getting to the 3/4 mark, still in touching distance. And once they get there, then it comes down to 2019, the hurt, the hunger, that 1 point. Can they now get the other side of Mourneabbey? But yeah, George, like this is massive. This is massive for Kilkerrin. This is the biggest test they're going to have in a long while. But I will say, Mourneabbey lost 3, I believe, before the thing that, like, you don't lose one to win one. I don't think that's the case in ladies football. Sometimes you have to lose 3. So, Kilkerrin Clonberne have to go down, and they have to be really firm in their thoughts. If they want to do this, and if they want to get over the line, they have to be sure that everybody's switched on from the moment they get there. Because, there's no sentiment in sport, sadly enough. And Mourneabbey, if they sense the weakness at all, I can imagine they'll exploit it.
And Stephen, so given your experience of management, so how do you set up then? I mean, concentration levels are going to have to be so sharp. You're talking about you miss a runner or you miss time of tackle, your goose is cooked. So do you sit back a little for a while and see how it develops and maybe then become a little more expansive? Or do you say, right, it's an All-Ireland final, the shackles are off, we're going to go at them? I guess the balance, and I always ask this question because I think it's a fascinating question, how much are Mourneabbey in Willie's head in terms of the danger that they present, but at the same time, how much are Kilkerrin Clonberne in his head that they can inflict damage on the opposition as well? I think it's just going to be absolutely fascinating. Like, do you go at them, Stephen, or do you be a bit conservative and then go at them when the time is right?
Jackie, that's why I got out of management. I'm only coaching now, so I don't have to answer these big questions.
Answer it anyway.
Yeah, I'll try. Listen, my good friend down in Cork, Ger, is hitting it again, matchups. That's going to be huge. You have to get your matchups right first. You can't go out and line out your 6 backs without taking into account what Mourneabbey are going to take to the table. You have to look at the four or five big threats first. Then you start picking your team around that and seeing where do you go without breaking up your team totally. You try and keep your structure on it, but you have to get your matchups right. So it could mean that a cornerback moves into centre back for argument's sake or whatever. It could mean that Nicola is detailed to pick up, but you probably will one of the O'Sullivans. Whatever it is, you get your matchups right then. That keeps you in the game, because then it comes down to not those 4 or 5 big players that both teams have. It comes down to the rest of the panel. And Ger said there that Mourneabbey have strengthened up, and it's probably their best squad. But Kilkerrin Clonberne, like, there's girls there who won All Irelands with Glenamaddie, sitting on the bench, with Glenamaddie School sitting on the bench. So they have players. My big worry is how much game time have they gone into them, and it comes down to all that sort of thing, and how physically and mentally and emotional ready they will be for it. I'm sure they will be. And we also have somebody in Annette Clark, who is now back in the fold, having given birth to twins earlier on in the year. Like, what a woman, remarkable. Like, just to see her out there, togged, ready for training, gunning for it. Didn't really want to hang around for the picture of the 5 months, but we got her anyway. But like, she was mad to get going and mad to get training. It was the same with Aisling Costello and Sarah Ward, all these girls, but they didn't want to be hanging around. They wanted to be out there, get their warm up done and get going. So yes, you do have a lot of experience there, and maybe Annette will start. I'm not picking the team, but whatever's there, they do have a couple of players that can make a difference.
And Jared, the experience piece for Mourneabbey, because Kilkerrin Clonberne have experience of losing a final, right? But they don't have experience of winning one. Is that important in that Mourneabbey know how to win one as well. I mean, I always think back to that score and how they worked it through the lines and through the hands. Noel Healy central to it at the time and finishing with Laura popping it over. Is that important that, okay, Kilkerrin Clonberne will bring the hurt of losing a final previously, but Mourneabbey have been there too. I mean, losing 3, but they also know how to grind it out right when it's in the melting pot. When the lava couldn't be any hotter, they know how to get it done.
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and I think the answer is if Mourneabbey win on Saturday and win their 3rd in a row, having lost 3 finals, to come back and win 3. I think is unprecedented. I think no matter what county you're from, you should be shouting that from the rooftops. And I think it's the fact that a majority of players that will form the spine of the Mourneabbey team are still there, having gone through that. They felt they were building, like they learned how to. The first year was kind of like what you're saying, like Kilkerrin Clonberne. The hurt of losing that first year, I think, was to Tuam. But what they also found is the second year when they went back, if you overemphasize, we need to get over the fact we lost the previous year now, and this goes to Kilkerrin Clonberne as well. Gaining revenge and trying to get back what happened in 2019. If you overdose a little bit on that, that's not going to do you any good. You just have to turn up and try and perform to the best of your ability. And one thing I will say, I might be bullish about Mourneabbey's chances, but I'm basing it not on Kilkerrin Clonberne. I'm basing it on winning 2 back-to-back All-Irelands. I'm basing it on what I've seen incrementally improving as the games have gone on. But here's the thing, and Shane Ronayne has said this, not me. He said he was really impressed with the way Kilkerrin Clonberne shut down Donaghmine. Not beat them, but shut them down. And he was like, if you're coming through a team like Donaghmine, as he said himself, who know how to win in semi-finals especially, then you are a very good team. And he and the players in Mourneabbey, Breed O'Sullivan said this as well, if Mourneabbey don't put in a performance, they're going to lose. What Shane said actually, word for word, is if we don't put in a performance for the whole match, the cup is going to Galway. They've that much respect for the opposition. Even without 2019, he knows Willie Ward. He knows this, the panel, the Wards, the Noons, the DeVillies. Like there's unbelievable talent and inter-county talent. This is a serious All-Ireland, potentially All-Ireland winning team. And Mourneabbey are very, very aware of that. So my bullishness on predicting that they're going to win is based on what I've seen, but I haven't seen enough of the opposition probably to counteract that, apart from the semi-final. But I know about this club. I know about the importance of ladies football in that area to them. I've read about it and I've heard Stephen talking about it as well. And I'm just glad more than anything, Jackie, that to me, and this is no disrespect to the semi-finalists or the provincial finalists, that the 2 best teams in this year's senior championship are in the final. I think that's significant because it's going to be, it may not be, I don't think it's going to be a classic high scoring encounter, he said, and he'd probably be totally wrong. I think it's going to be unbelievably physical. I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be tense, but I think there's so much you can enjoy from those types of finals as well. 2 absolute heavyweights going for the title. Neither wants to come out of Birr losing. Like you don't often get a chance to win 3 in a row Munster titles, let alone All-Ireland titles. So history beckons from Mourneabbey and Kilkerrin Clonberne winning that senior title. Imagine what that would do for the club. Imagine the boost it would give that club were they to beat Mourneabbey on Saturday. And I'm thinking of that too, and I know Willie Ward is as well. It is going to be fascinating. It's going to be well worth watching. It's going to be hopefully the best game of the championship. I think it is all the players and the ingredients for it to be, but with the caveat that it may not be the free scoring, games that we've seen at ladies football at intercounty level. I think this is going to be tactical masterclass from the 2 managers, who picks up who and who has, and I think it will come down to who can hold their nerve down the final quarter. If it's still tight in the final quarter, I give Kilkerrin Clonberne every chance of winning this, as does Shane Ronayne. But this is a Mourneabbey team that has taken out some big names this year by pressing high and winning 4 quarters, not for 20 minutes of a first half and maybe 10 minutes of the second where they would get loads of scores and then they sit back. No, they come at teams each quarter. It's going to be fascinating and I can't wait.
No, I can't either. Yeah, and we will have 4 quarters. The water break is here to stay anyway for this weekend, so I can let you in on that one. The ramifications of it, Stephen, I'll finish with you on this. I think Ger is going to predict a Mourneabbey win. I don't think I have to ask you that, Ger. Yeah, I can take it from the nod that is the case. The ramifications of it, I mean, these are high stakes, Stephen. I mean, a second defeat, of what would it do to Kilkerrin Clonberne? If they could win it, what would it do to Mourneabbey? Does it, in their minds, not tarnish, because you winning an All-Ireland is an incredible thing. Winning 2 is an incredible thing. But to lose to the opponent you've beaten previously, what does that do to their mindset? You know, in my own mind, I think if Mourneabbey won it, they could probably go and win it again. You know, it wouldn't surprise me to see them back later on this year, in the calendar year, as it will be. It's just, I can't wait. Ger can't wait. It's set up lovely, Stephen.
Oh, definitely. And I suppose you're clutching for straws, and I didn't realise it until Billy Cost mentioned it, that it's 40 years since Galway Club's one and only win in the All-Ireland Series, Galway Gaels, in 1982. So maybe a little bit of symmetry there or something, I don't know. But yeah, listen, it's like really and truly Mourneabbey are the favourites, and that's not building it up from this side or anything. It's basically that they are the standard bearers. So if Kilkerrin Clonberne want to get over the line, they're really going to have to do everything that they are capable of doing at a quick pace in the county championship and provincial championship. Can they now do it at All Ireland level? And that's what if they do, they'll take off. They could take off the club, like, because bar 4 or 5 older players, they're all very young. You know, we think of Eva Noon, who really does make that team tick at times. Like, she's 18? She was 16, 2 years ago, 18. You know, like, if she goes like Annette Clark, she'll be there for another 15, 16, 20 years. But she's a great player. Has said Hannah Noon, 20, and you look throughout the team and look throughout the squad, there's a lot of young players there, no more than Mourneabbey. So whoever, I don't know who's going to win. I'd like to think Kilkerrin Clonberne, obviously, for obvious reasons. My head is telling me Mourneabbey, sadly enough, just knowing maybe I've been psychologically damaged by Cork in my time with Galway.
Would be lost.
But you would think it's there for Kilkerrin Clonberne have to win it to get that recognition in many people's heads of being the best team. Many would see Mourneabbey as the best team, and that's just being honest about it. But what I will say is that these two teams could dominate for some time to come. Simple as. This mightn't be. They've maybe met 2 years ago. We could see them. We could duel it out again and again over the next few years.
Yeah,
and certainly they have the players to do that.
Yeah, we could see them again later on in the year. God knows.
Yeah.
But for now, we'll look forward to Saturday, lads, and you've teed it up absolutely beautifully. So great to see you again, folks. My special guest today, Stephen Glennon, who's the editor of the Tuam Herald, providing some cracking coverage in the build-up and indeed the aftermath of Saturday's game, the currentAccount.ie All-Ireland Senior Club Championship Final. And from Cork, freelance journalist and Red FM presenter is Ger McCarthy. Lads, we'll see you on Saturday.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Very much.